Hartford, Connecticut is known as the insurance capital of the world because of the number of insurance companies with headquarters there. That might not make it seem like the most exciting place to visit, but you'll be surprised at how much the city has to offer. In this video, we're going to look at the best things to do in Hartford, Connecticut. Wadsworth Atheneum. For art lovers, the Wadsworth Atheneum is a must-see attraction. It has one of the country's finest art collections, particularly the works of the Hudson River School. Wadsworth is one of the oldest free public museums in the U.S. and holds over 50,000 works of art in the impressive Gothic-style building. Some of the highlights of its European collection include Italian Baroque, Surrealist, and Impressionist styles. It houses classic artists like Dali, Monet, and Renoir, but also adds contemporary works regularly. Be sure to check out the Cabinet of Art and Curiosity, a room inspired by Victorian collectors who would dedicate entire rooms to their art collections, technology, and other curiosities. Connecticut Science Center. Another one of the great things to do in Hartford is a visit to the Connecticut Science Center. The center's 168 hands-on exhibits are geared towards kids, but adults will enjoy them just as much. You can even make and test flying devices at Forces in Motion or build your inventions out of Legos in Invention Dimension. The interactive exhibits in Planet Earth let you feel hurricane-force winds and create your own weather forecasts. Other interesting exhibits include Sight and Sound, Exploring Space, Energy City, and Picture of Health. You can even explore a marine touch tank that examines the creatures living in the Connecticut River in the River of Life exhibit. State Capitol. Connecticut's high Victorian Gothic State Capitol building was built overlooking Bushnell Memorial Park in 1879. It contains the offices of the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Secretary of State, as well as the State Senate Chamber and the Hall of the State House of Representatives. The building is registered as a National Historic Landmark. Its many beautiful features include inlaid white and red Connecticut and Italian marble floors and some impressive stained glass windows. You can take a guided or self-guided tour through the Hall of Flags and Connecticut Hall of Fame, where you'll learn about some of the outstanding achievements by state residents. You can even spend some time in the public galleries watching the proceedings of the General Assembly when it's in session. Bushnell Park. Next to the Capitol grounds, you'll find the 37-acre Bushnell Park. The park is notable for being America's first public park. It's home to the Civil War Memorial, the Pump House Gallery, the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch, and the Israel Putnam statue. One of the best things to do in Hartford is in Bushnell Park, a colorful 1914 Stein and Goldstein carousel with 4 dozen hand-carved horses and 2 chariots. It's one of only 3 Stein and Goldstein carousels that still exist. On the second Saturday of every month, from May to October, you can take a tour of the park. Guided tours of the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch happen every Thursday in those same months. Connecticut Historical Society Museum. For history buffs, the Connecticut Historical Society Museum is a great way to spend some time. The Society's collection is home to over 200,000 artifacts and images, all housed in a colonial revival mansion that was originally owned by the inventor Curtis Veeder. You'll also find publications and manuscripts that date back as far as the 1600s, many of which are displayed in the interactive exhibits. One of the more interesting collections in the museum is Inn and Tavern Signs of Connecticut. You'll also find other captivating exhibits and interesting items like women's suffrage exhibits, WW2 propaganda posters, costumes from Hartford's West Indian community, and other things related to New England history and culture. Ancient Burying Ground and Butler-McCook House. Another great thing to do in Hartford for history buffs is to visit 2 neighboring attractions along Main Street, the Ancient Burying Ground and the Butler-McCook House and Garden. The Ancient Burying Ground is Hartford's oldest historic landmark, the only one that has survived since the 1600s. The oldest headstone dates back over 370 years to 1648. It was Hartford's only graveyard until the early 1800s and is home to roughly 6,000 graves. To learn more about early Hartford, head 3 blocks south on Main Street to find the Butler-McCook House and Garden. It was built in 1782 and is the oldest surviving house in the city. It was home to several generations of a family that lived there from the Revolution to the middle of the 20th century. The Witnesses on Main Street exhibit uses the family's words and experiences to show how Main Street changed over the years. You'll learn how Hartford went from a city of wood homes and small shops to a modern city made from steel, brick, and stone. You'll also find art, antiques, and household furnishings that show how things have changed over the years. New England Air Museum. If you're looking for a bit more modern take on Hartford's history, check out the New England Air Museum at Bradley International Airport. It's New England's largest aviation museum and one of the more fascinating things to do in Hartford. The museum houses more than 80 aircraft and has a large collection of engines, instruments, parts, uniforms, and other personal memorabilia. You'll see aircraft like the Sikorsky VS-44A and S-39, a B-29 bomber, a Cayman K-225 helicopter, and, going a bit further back in time, the Silas Brooks balloon basket. Northwest Park and Nature Center. If outdoor activities are more your style, be sure to pay a visit to Northwest Park and Nature Center. The 473-acre recreational facility offers year-round activities, including a nature center, 12 miles of trails, maple sugaring, and a coffeehouse concert series that brings live music acts to the park. There are many annual events at the park, including a country fair, pancake breakfasts, owl prowls, holiday wreath-making workshops, and maple sugaring demonstrations. The park offers activities that will appeal to kids of all ages. Elizabeth Park. Another great option for anyone who loves the outdoors is Elizabeth Park, one of the most photographed places in the state of Connecticut. It was established in the late 19th century with help from Hartford's Frederick Law Olmsted, the landscape architect behind New York's Central Park and Boston's Emerald Necklace. Elizabeth Park's gardens, ponds, and bridges will remind you of an impressionist painting, but you don't need to be an art lover to appreciate its beauty. Plan a picnic, take a stroll, or stop and admire the gardens. You'll be amazed at the park's natural beauty, as will your followers on social media when you share a few pics. Lady Kate Cruises. Hartford is located on the Connecticut River, which bisects New England from the Canadian border all the way to the Long Island Sound. You won't see the entire river on a 60 to 90-minute river cruise, but you'll still feel like you've been transported far away from the city. Lady Kate Cruises offer both public and private seasonal cruises along the river. Mark Twain House and Museum. In 1873, Olivia and Samuel Clemens, better known as Mark Twain, commissioned a new home in Hartford and moved in the following year. The house had every modern convenience of the time, some of which you can see demonstrated when touring the home. Louis C. Tiffany was one of 4 designers who worked on the interior, and you'll see some exotic influences that were popular in the late 1800s. As you tour the home, you'll hear thought-provoking stories that offer some insight into Samuel's and Olivia's personalities and the somewhat unusual habits of the entire family. After the death of their daughter, they found it hard to return to the house she'd grown up in, so they sold it in 1903. Despite a less than happy ending, Clemens recalled their years in the home as the happiest and most productive of Mark Twain's life. While living there, he wrote The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and several others of his most famous works. You won't find many places where 2 literary giants were literal next-door neighbors, but Hartford boasts such a pairing. Harriet Beecher Stowe Center. Next door to the Twain home is the restored house of author Harriet Beecher Stowe. She lived in the home for much of the same time as Clemens, spanning 1873 to 96. Stowe made a significant contribution to the abolitionist movement by depicting slavery in her groundbreaking book Uncle Tom's Cabin. Her contribution was so profound, Abraham Lincoln once credited her with starting the Civil War. The kitchen of this Gothic revival cottage is based on the one described in Stowe's book The American Woman's Home. The house is undergoing long-term restoration, but tours are still offered. You'll see the home's steep hip roof, bay windows, and 2 side porches, as well as hearing details about what goes into the restoration of such an important historical landmark. Now it's time to hear from you. Did we miss any of your favorites in Hartford? Let us know in the comment section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Viewcation if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.